I was about 5'10" in the 6th grade, and all my friends were like, "You don't play basketball?"
Perfect. I've always been the only girl of color on the field, and I really wanted to change the trajectory with that.
How you get more like girls and people of color to play is you show them an environment where they can feel safe.
Sport, it's a vehicle that can be used to break down a lot of barriers.
You know, racism doesn't stop at the border. It doesn't have a passport. You know what I mean? It's you know, it's everywhere. I don't think it's as magnified or publicized daily.
I'd love to have teammates turn to me and say, "Hey, what do we do? You know, what we need advice from you because you've been there."
If you're not getting people to make the critical changes, nothing's going to change.
What role, if any, should sports play in a movement towards equality and social justice? I'm Bill Anderson, and it's a discussion that honestly has been going on for decades, but recently that conversation, it intensified.
After long layoffs due to the pandemic, professional sports came back. We were also in the middle of a period of heightened awareness on issues of social justice, leading to the various sports expressing themselves in numerous ways.
While people are mad that they're not playing and they're telling us as athletes to shut up and dribble, we're doing this with a purpose.
In sports like football and basketball, making a statement on social issues was not that far out of the norm.
Despite the overwhelming plea for change, there has been no action. So our focus today cannot be on basketball.
But what drew additional attention is when sports, traditionally lacking minority participation, they joined in.
I'm sure that some of you believe that this topic has garnered too much attention during the last couple months. But let me assure you, it is not. Racism is a man-made creation, and all it does is deteriorate from our collective prosperity.
With hockey taking a stand, players standing in unity, regardless of the team or country they represented, the discussion on the importance of diversity in non-traditional sports, it took center ice.
On behalf of the NHL and the Hockey Diversity Alliance, we vow and promise to stand up for justice and fight for what is right.
The discussions are now not just happening in high-profile sports with large populations of people of color. Sports like auto racing, lacrosse, even baseball are also now in the discussion as it relates to improving communities and uniting through sports. The issue became especially visible when the NHL, still with few people of color, recently decided to boycott games to stand in opposition to racism.
2 days isn't gonna fix anything, but the conversation and the statement that's been made is very powerful.
It raised a lot of questions, and we'll try to answer some of them with athletes, coaches, and community leaders.
Is sports just entertainment, or does it play a vital role in a movement towards social justice, equality, and unity? Is sports important in breaking the ice?
We experienced lots of racism in the rink growing up and stuff like that, and you know, hockey not being the most diverse sport, but you know, now here we are in 2020, and you know, people are taking a stand against racism, and you know, they're fighting for equality in sports.
Chris Stewart played 13 years in the NHL, the last with the Flyers, and just retired to now work for the team.
And I just told him straight up, like, guys, like, you know, if I was there, I wouldn't be comfortable playing today.
He's also a member of the newly formed Hockey Diversity Council. He bought into the brotherhood of sports, and so his support for hockey, stepping into the fight for equality, it's clear.
I stood up for my teammates without question, time and time again. You know, I've broken my face for the team, I've broken my hand for the team, I've really put my body on the line for the team. So to really, you know, have them take those 2 days apart and really put hockey on hold, really, you know, prove to me that everything that I believed in growing up and everything I fought for was true. So, you know, I was proud of them for taking that moment.
The moment that he discussed was highly visible because of the status of the NHL, but the impact, it was felt by many more. After starring at Princeton, Kelsey Colzer was the first ever African-American #1 pick in professional hockey. She's now the first African-American NCAA head hockey coach at just 25 years old. She too has lived hockey since childhood, for worse and for better.
I was used to being targeted, whether it was for being a girl, and then as I got older, for being black. And so that was something that I'm definitely grateful that I had that first experience of being a girl playing a boy sport, because to me, it was something that I was, I think having heard that from the start, I told myself every day, if I can be better than them and hang in the sport, then I deserve to be here.
She worked hard to prove she belonged and is now equally committed to opening doors for others.
So having the chance to, kind of stay close to home and give others the opportunity to prove that there's talent here, no matter where you're from or what you look like, you can hang at the next level.
Though both were basically born into a love for hockey, their backgrounds are pretty different.
I came up, grew up in the inner cities of Toronto. I told this to everyone, and I say it again, hockey saved my life. My dad taught me when I was young that, if you didn't have anything constructive to do, outside would find something constructive for you to do and probably wouldn't be too good. So, we just really want to use our sport and our experiences to really help change the game.
I'm from the Philadelphia area. I grew up in Horsham, Pennsylvania. 2 cousins played pretty seriously, and my mom and my uncle were very close, and so when she had me, it was just, she would tote me right along to watch all of their games. So I pretty much was in a rink from 3 months old to now.
And coming from those really different places, but still having similar experiences with a lack of diversity, it may be why they both are so committed to joining other athletes in using their voices for change.
Dad, I got 3 kids. I want to be someone that they can look up to and really know that their dad tried to create something here that was going to be long lasting.
It's something that I didn't realize the impact that I could have really until college. And so, obviously I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to be a role model for others. I do take deep pride in that.
Changing society with sports is about much more than professional athletes. Next, how local programs are getting involved in breaking the ice.
Changing the world through sports has been very visible and to some controversial on a professional level. But honestly, improving lives and breaking down barriers, it happens in communities long before people make it to the pros.
So, Icon Sports is a field hockey and lacrosse program for African American, Latino, and inner city youth of Philadelphia. Go!
Coach Jasmine Smith grew up playing lacrosse and field hockey. She's from North Philadelphia, but was raised in the suburbs with a clear awareness of the opportunities her initial neighborhood was missing out on.
Hi. Just offered a longer hand in terms of opportunity, access, meeting different peoples of all walks of life. Let's go, let's go! So for me, that was important, but I also know that they didn't have the same privilege.
Coach James Ellis is a legendary swim coach who started PDR swimming in inner city pools.
One of our mottos is that swimming saves lives. Swimming changes lives. And so I was using the sport of swimming to expose young people and their families to something else.
He took on that challenge because, frankly, without it, many in inner cities just wouldn't get a chance.
Most people still do not have access. Swimming pools are expensive. They're expensive to maintain, they're expensive to build. And if you don't see the value in it, then you're not going to get the help.
Don't even make it close. Sit down here, Nat. Still running, still running.
It may be shocking to hear, but baseball is in steady decline in both African American and lower income communities, and that's why the Anderson Monarchs continue to step to the plate.
A lot of them are athletic enough to play. I think they're intelligent enough to play. It's just they don't have the resources that others may have. Hurry up, hurry up.
Demetrius himself went through the program and now coaches because he's personally aware of how bringing these opportunities can change lives.
Run at them, come on, come on. I just think it's really something that we have to target in our inner cities as far as trying to get kids, African-American kids especially, to play the game of baseball.
And back to the impact of hockey. It's not surprising that several of the individuals involved with steering hockey to take a stand for equality were related in some way to the Flyers and Snyder Hockey.
Snyder Hockey's programs are targeted to boys and girls who otherwise would not have the opportunity to participate in quality after-school athletic, academic, and life enrichment programming.
And it's immediately clear the impact the program is having, not just in creating quality hockey players, but in creating quality young men and women.
A lot of clubs, other clubs, they're looking for the money, and the guys at Snyder Hockey are looking for the experience for the child and making sure that the child isn't falling behind in school or lackluster. You can be the best athlete possible, but if your grades aren't to the top, you cannot participate in any sports at all. You will never make the D1 team if you don't have good grades.
It's interesting because even if the sports are less racially diverse, when asked if they play a role in bringing us together and addressing social issues, most involved say not only can they, but they must.
I once read a quote by Nelson Mandela, and I'm going to try to paraphrase this the best I can, but he said, sport has the power to change the world. It has the power to inspire. It has the power to unite people in a way that little else does.
I think sports is the most international language as far as currency, and that's how we learn to communicate and love each other.
Sport is a way, it's a vehicle that can be used to break down a lot of barriers.
Perfect, to the stick.
And that ability to break down barriers, along with all of the related opportunities, is the reason why groups like this even exist.
It's my responsibility to go back and to show them something that would not be offered because of their zip code.
At the time, people were talking about African Americans couldn't swim. Their bones weren't right, their bodies weren't right, their color wasn't right. But the biggest issue was we didn't have access. We didn't have access to facilities.
Hockey really is just the hook that we've used to gain and hold the attention of our kids so that we could immerse them in much greater life lessons. And of course, one of those lessons is the importance of academics.
All of these programs realize that diversity in sports open up people to different experiences, and so it only makes sense that the young people bonding with teammates of all races.
At first, I didn't see a lot of black people playing, and I was looking around and there was not really many African Americans. But when I was introduced to Snyder Hockey, I started to see more people of color playing the sport.
There's a lot of Hispanics, black, white, Asian. There's so many people that play that it's like, oh, you see a black man, woman, girl, boy on the ice. You don't think anything of it.
They grow into the older athletes who want to stand up for and with them.
Obviously, having a group of people that, that are there to be that front line for you is definitely important.
It's so hard to stand alone, you know what I mean? Especially if you know what you're standing for is right, but everyone's pointing the finger at you, telling you that you're wrong. It helps when you have one person standing next to you, then two people standing next to you, and next thing you know, your whole team has your back.
We talk, you know what I mean? We're boys, we're friends, it's deeper than just sports, you know what I mean? Everyone thinks that, athletes just get to put on their jersey and go to the rink, and real life problems don't exist to them. We have family members, we have people get sick, we have kids, we have feelings. We're human beings for sure.
And that, in a nutshell, is the bigger picture that many miss about the importance of getting as many involved as possible.
So now that you see more teams of color, or more girls playing on teams that may not look like them, it brings an advancement. It gives like a level of hope.
The programs exist, and we are talking, but are sports really changing lives? Stay tuned. Listen, coming together to address societal issues through sports, it makes sense, but addressing long-term issues takes time. So are we actually making progress, or are all these stances just largely symbolic?
Because I want to be able to be in the Olympics and have an interview and say, oh, I was in the Snyder Hockey program, and I want to tell other people in that program that they can do it.
It's very important to me for seeing role models in the NHL, because growing up African American, seeing other African Americans in the NHL makes you believe that you can be once in the NHL if you keep pushing your mindset forward to it.
Being an Olympian or in the NHL are pretty lofty goals for two young people who knew little about hockey before joining Snyder. Franklin has actually already earned a full college scholarship, and that's the point.
What we do can be done, whether it be hockey, tennis, music, as long as you can find something that will really hold the attention of the kids. And you know, these type of programs will work.
And those are the stories we heard over and over again, whether it was academic support and college scholarships from Snyder Hockey, or inner city lacrosse players building their skills
Straight line.
along with their self-esteem.
You guys are walking up to where?
The mirror.
Because in the event you get called a name, in the event someone pushes you or does something that is damaging, you have to be okay with who you are.
I am Ayana and I am phenomenal.
I am Lauren and I am outgoing.
I tell our girls all the time, like, you are the masterpiece of what God created. And, you know, you have to know that you belong here. You have to know that, you know, your presence is needed and warranted.
A legendary swim coach continues to create Olympic-level swimmers from areas often overlooked.
Where we had people from all different social, economic backgrounds in Philadelphia swimming in the same pool, striving for the same thing. That was very powerful.
And a long-standing rec center sports program is showing young people better.
I was privileged enough to go to a private school, William Penn Charter, and the Monarchs provided me with that opportunity. They opened that door for me to walk through. And right after Penn Charter, I was privileged enough to go on to college and play 2 sports in college, both basketball and baseball. So they provided me with opportunities that I can't even imagine would have happened to me if I wasn't a part of this program.
These are the ongoing examples of why diversity and opportunity in sports is so important, and perhaps why the people who have come up through sports are now so vocal.
So far, we've addressed 2 issues. Is diversity important in sports? And should athletes use their voices on social causes? Let's find out from them as we give them one more chance to sound off in their own words.
And maybe like a couple years after I'm done, I believe that that the NHL will have a lot of African Americans in there pushing, trying to be good at hockey, trying to be the best players they can be with the same mindset as me.
And I wouldn't have the friends I would have now. I wouldn't have the opportunities I have now. I wouldn't have the college opportunities that I have.
I think people really were trying to introspectively say, how do we get it right? Because we've done it wrong for so long.
I want to stress the fact that people shouldn't have the fear to go to their teammate and ask them these questions and educate themselves, really. We'd rather have that than, you know, you sit in silence and make the same mistake multiple times.
It's a sacrifice in making changes. And people need to understand that there is a sacrifice that goes with that, because you're fighting a system that's been around for generations.
It's a lot, but you know, it's a privilege. When people look, we're trying to lean on you for a sense of direction, and I think you know, now the more leaders we have and pulling in the right direction is only gonna, you know, try to create here a sustainable change.
So I think it's really important for others to stand with each other, because it just makes it that much easier to get the message across.
Stay with us. We'll be right back with our final thoughts.
So as we've explored and you've seen, sports can make real progress in terms of addressing serious issues. But at the end of the day, sports just happens in real life, filled with disagreements and difficult conversations that can only be addressed if we're willing to have them. So on behalf of Bill Rohr behind the camera, I'm Bill Anderson. Thank you for sharing some of those conversations with us, and have a good one.